and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. The proposal comes from Egyptian, Pakistani, and Turkish mediators, hoping the 45-day window would provide enough time for talks to reach a permanent ceasefire. Iran's state-run IRNA news agency said Tehran rejected the latest ceasefire proposal and wants a permanent end to the war. The agency said it conveyed its response to the U.S. through Pakistan, a key mediator.
He said on Monday his troops were continuing targeted ground operations in southern Lebanon. In a statement, the military said forces had dismantled over 300 terror infrastructure sites from both the air and the ground, including weapons storage facilities, booby-trapped structures, and enemy positions.
Attacked Iran. Sparkling the widening war in the Middle East, Hezbollah launched missiles toward Israel. It said that the salvo was in retaliation for the killing of Iranian supreme leader and for repeated Israeli aggressions in Lebanon. Israeli military said it has since launched a wave of airstrikes in Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah sites in Beirut. Israel is pushing deep into the southern part of the country in its campaign against the Iran-backed group Hezbollah, a powerful militant force and political party that long has exercised de facto control over much of Lebanon's Shiite community. More than 1,400 people have been killed in Lebanon, and more than 1 million people have been displaced. 11 Israeli soldiers, meanwhile, have died there.
And footage released by the Iranian Red Crescent on Monday showed the aftermath of strikes in various areas in Tehran and the QOM province. The video showed damaged buildings and rubble, with rescue workers searching to find survivors. Israel struck a key petrochemical plant at Iran's massive South Pass natural gas field and killed 2 paramilitary Revolutionary Guard commanders on Monday, putting into question a new 45-day ceasefire proposal for Tehran and the United States. Authorities said a strike near Eslamah, southwest of Tehran, killed at least 15 people. 5 were also killed in a residential area in QM, and 6 were killed in strikes on other cities. 3 people were killed at a home in Tehran. More than 1,900 people have been killed in Iran since the war began, but the government has not updated the toll for days. A multi-story residential building has collapsed in Makhachkala, the capital of Russia's Dagestan Republic, during a massive flood caused by torrential rains. According to officials, rising water washed away the soil beneath the building, causing it to slide into a nearby river. All residents were evacuated in time, and no casualties were reported in the incident. Heavy rains began battering Dagestan in late March, triggering widespread flooding across the region. In the Derbent district, surging water breached a dam at the Getsug Reservoir, sending torrent into several nearby settlements. The water flooded homes and caused significant destruction. A car carrying a local family was swept off a highway and carried approximately 2.5 kilometers by the flood waters. A grandmother and her granddaughter were unable to escape and died. Local authorities say 4 people have died and 10 people remain missing, with rescue teams continuing search for operations. Officials said around 4,000 people have been evacuated from the affected areas. And 2 members of Congress have traveled to Cuba to assess the humanitarian situation following the extreme pressure put on the island by the Trump administration with its suffocating oil blockade. Democrat representatives Pramila Jayapal of Washington and Jonathan Jackson of Illinois met with President Miguel Diaz-Canel, Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez, and members of the island's parliament during their visit. They also visited hospitals and spoke with local religious leaders.
Their visit comes at a time when both countries acknowledge in recent weeks that contact had taken place at the highest level, but no details were disclosed. From their meeting with Cuban officials, the U.S. representative said they understood that dialogue between the two countries were ongoing. They believe that recent steps taken by Cuba, such as opening the economy for investment by Cuban Americans living abroad, the release of over 2,000 prisoners earlier in the week, and the arrival of an FBI team to collaborate in the investigation of an incident between a Cuban Navy boat and a Florida speedboat earlier in February, indicated that the moment is here for them to have a real negotiation. Jackson, meanwhile, described Cuba as the most sanctioned part of the earth. In January, President Donald Trump imposed an energy embargo on the island following a U.S. attack on Venezuela, a strategic ally of Cuba, forcing countries such as Mexico and Russia to cut off their oil shipment to Cuba. Last week, for the first time this year, the Russian tanker arrived on the island with 730,000 barrels of crude oil after Trump did not blockade passage. The island produces only 40% of the fuel it consumes. They said they hoped Trump's lack of opposition to the arrival of the Russian tanker will encourage other countries in the region to send supplies to Cuba. She stressed, though these shipments were just temporary solutions, the consequences of the fuel shortage have been quickly felt by the population, who were already suffering from 5 years of economic crisis, which has led to national blackout, gasoline shortage, and a lack of public transport, among other issues. Upon their return to the U.S., the lawmakers stated that they will prepare a report and continue to work on initiatives proposed by fellow members of the House to lift sanctions against the island in order to alleviate the current humanitarian crisis.
The U.S. Supreme Court has paved the way for Steve Bannon's contempt of Congress conviction to be thrown out, sending the case back to a lower court where it is likely to be dismissed. Bannon, one of Trump's most prominent backers, was convicted in 2022 for refusing to respond to lawmakers' subpoenas for information about the January 2021 Capitol riot. The Trump administration had asked the Supreme Court to dismiss Bannon's case in the interest of justice. Bannon has already served prison time in the case, a 4-month sentence of a low-security federal facility in Connecticut, rendering any potential dismissal a more symbolic gesture. An appeals court upheld the jury's verdict in Bannon's 2022 case, but the Supreme Court decision on Monday negates that ruling and sends it back to a lower federal court in Washington, D.C. The brief unsigned order from the Supreme Court cited the pending motion to dismiss the indictment. Bannon has spent the last decade in and around Trump's political circles. He is often credited as a key architect of Trump's 2026 victory and served a tumultuous stint as a White House advisor in the president's first term. Outside the White House, Bannon has served as one of Trump's biggest boosters on the right and has backed the idea of Trump serving a third time as president, which is prohibited under the U.S. Constitution. 7 players from the Eritrean football squad that scored a historic victory in Eswatini last week have failed to return home, while some of their teammates flew back from Eswatini's neighbor, South Africa. The 7 are said to have absconded. Sources say that there have been several cases when Eritreans competing in various sports have not gone home after international fixtures in recent years. Rights groups have described the government in Asmara as highly repressive, a charge which the authorities reject. Despite its small population, hundreds of thousands of Eritreans have sought asylum abroad. The news of the players absconding comes as a blow to the team, which following its 2-1 win in Eswatini and 4-1 victory on aggregate, was celebrating a return to the qualifying group stages for the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time in 19 years. Only 10 of the 24-man squad were based in Eritrea, and just 3 of those players, including team captain Abletlum, have now returned. While it is unclear where the missing players have gone, reports say some of them have been seen in South Africa. The state-owned media outlets have been unusually quiet on the victorious team's return, which would normally be accompanied by a big fanfare. Sources say preparations were made for a similar reception, but was cancelled following news of the disappearance of the players. The spokesperson of Eritrea's Sport and Culture Commission, who has been providing updates on social media about the recent success of the team, posted pictures of some of the returning players and staff in Egypt, where the Eritrean embassy and community members organized a reception for them. And our next story is on Nigeria's standing in 2 major global reports for 2026. The Crime Index and the World Happiness Report, according to the Numbers 2026 Crime Index. Nigeria ranks 13th globally, placing it among countries with the highest perceived crime levels. The news doesn't get better on the social front. The 2026 World Happiness Report shows Nigeria has slipped further down the rankings, hitting a 4-year low. AIT's Kaduna Okoliko takes a look at this index and what they reveal about the life in the country.
With a crime index score of 66.2, Nigeria ranks among the most crime-affected nations globally and within Africa. The high crime perception is driven by rising cases of kidnapping and armed robbery, ongoing insurgency and banditry, urban crime in major cities, and increasing cybercrime activities. Many Nigerians also reported concerns about safety, particularly at night. Meanwhile, Nigeria's position in the World Happiness Report continues to decline. The country now ranks 106th out of 147 countries in 2026, down from 105th in 2025 and 102nd in 2024. The report measures well-being using factors such as income, social support, life expectancy, freedom to make life choices, generosity, and perceptions of corruption. Nigeria's drop is linked to economic hardship, rising inflation, youth unemployment, governance challenges, and persistent security issues. While countries like Finland, Denmark, and Iceland top the happiness rankings, others such as Costa Rica and Mexico show that strong social ties and community life also play a key role in well-being. Overall, Nigeria's performance in both reports highlights growing concerns about public safety and the impact of economic and social pressures on quality life. Kaduna Okoliko, AIT.
The approval by President Bola Tinubu of a 3.3 trillion naira payment plan to clear long-standing liabilities in Nigeria's power sector is being described as one of the most ambitious interventions since the sector was privatized. The move is aimed at addressing a decade-long debt crisis that has crippled electricity generation, triggered recurring blackouts, and weakened confidence across the power value chain. In this special report, AIT's Yemi Adebayo examines the root of the crisis, the implications of the intervention, and whether it offers a lasting solution to Nigeria's persistent electricity challenges.
Nigeria's power crisis did not happen overnight. It is the result of years of accumulated debts, structural inefficiencies, and policy inconsistency that have left the sector struggling to deliver stable electricity. At the heart of the problem are the generation companies GenCos, the firms responsible for producing electricity. Since the 2013 privatization of the power sector, many GenCos have operated under severe financial strain, largely due to unpaid invoices and liquidity shortfalls. Between 2015 and 2025, debts ballooned as electricity distribution companies failed to fully remit payments, while government subsidies and tariff shortfalls widened the funding gap. This created a vicious circle. Gencos could not pay gas suppliers. Gas suppliers reduced supply, and power plants were forced to cut generation, resulting in frequent nationwide blackouts. Industry data shows that Nigeria, despite having an installed capacity of over 12,000 megawatts, often generates less than half of that due to these constraints. The 3.3 trillion naira intervention is therefore designed as a reset button, a full and final settlement of these legacy debts to restore liquidity and operational stability. Government officials say settling these obligations will enable Gencos to pay gas suppliers, maintain infrastructure, and increase generation capacity. But will it solve the problem permanently? Experts in the sector say debt repayment alone is not enough. Nigeria's power sector still faces deep structural challenges, including poor metering and estimated billing, weak transmission infrastructure, inefficient distribution networks, tariff regimes that do not reflect actual costs. Without fixing these issues, analysts warn the sector could relapse into another cycle of debt. Power generation companies have repeatedly raised concerns over the sustainability of their operations. The Association of Power Generation Companies, APJC, has stated that Gencos are owed trillions of naira, warning that the liquidity crisis has pushed many operators to the brink of shutdown. They insist that while the 3.3 trillion naira settlement is a welcome development, it must be accompanied by cost-reflective tariffs, guaranteed payment mechanism, improved market discipline across the value chain. Gencos also stressed the need for consistent gas supply and policy stability to ensure long-term viability. According to them, without these reforms, the intervention may only provide temporary relief rather than a permanent solution. As the government begins implementation, expectations are high that this historic settlement will finally turn the tide. But whether it marks the end of Nigeria's power crisis or just another chapter in a long struggle remains to be seen. Yemi Adebayo, AIT News, Abuja.
And that's the world news on Kakaaki, the African Voice this morning. Thank you for staying with us. Up next is Kakaaki Business.
Welcome to Kakaaki Business.
Welcome to Kakaaki Business. I am Landry Babalola. We start with the latest on Indian Central Bank. Indian Central Bank, the Reserve Bank of India, is moving to tighten regulations guiding bank agents providing last-mile financial service across rural communities. The proposed rules are aimed at improving oversight, strengthening due diligence, and ensuring more reliable service delivery in areas heavily dependent on agent banking. Under the new framework, agent banking operation will be divided into two categories: business correspondent banking outlet and business correspondent banking touchpoints, each with clearly defined roles. While the outlet models will operate like mini bank branches with fixed locations and structured working hours, the touchpoint will handle smaller transactions with more flexible operation. The Central Bank is also proposing a revised remuneration structure, introducing both fixed and variable pay for outlet operators, while touchpoint agents will earn only performance-based income. Banks are expected to reclassify their agent network by September 2026 as regulators seek feedback from stakeholders before finalizing the guidelines. And in the United States, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has closed its investigation into a remote driving features developed by Tesla. The probe covered nearly 2.6 million vehicles equipped with actually smart summon features, which allow cars to move over short distances using mobile app. Regulator launched the investigation in early 2025 following reports of crashes linked to the feature, particularly in parking areas and private properties. However, findings shows that most incidents were low-speed collision involving obstacles such as parked cars, garage doors, and gates. Authorities say about 100 cases were recorded with no injuries, fatalities, or major vehicles damage requiring towing or airbag deployment. The agency concluded that the low severity and frequency of incidents do not warrant further regulatory actions at this time. Spain's wind energy sector is raising concerns over proposed European Union windfall tax targeting excess profits in the energy industry. The warning comes from the Association Empresarial Eólica, which represents key players in the country's renewable energy space. The tax proposal, backed by several EU countries, is designed to capture excess earnings following recent spike in energy prices linked to geopolitical tensions. However, industry leaders argue that introducing new taxes could create uncertainty and discourage critical investment in renewable energy infrastructure. Spain is considered one of Europe's leaders in wind power, with the sector playing major roles in stabilizing electricity prices. Stakeholders warn that any slowdown in investment could undermine Europe's broader goal of reducing reliance on fossil fuel. And major technology companies are facing growing scrutiny from investors over the environmental impact of their expanding data center operators. Firms including Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are under pressure to disclose more information on energy and water usage. The concerns come amid rapid growth in artificial intelligence and cloud computing, which are driving increased demand for power-intensive infrastructure. Some projects have already been altered following community opposition over environmental and resource concerns. Investment funds, including Trillium Asset Management, are demanding cleaner strategies on how companies plan to meet their climate commitments. With emissions rising despite early pledges, shareholders say greater transparency will be critical ahead of upcoming annual meeting. In Africa, Egypt has increased electricity tariff for high-consumption household and commercial users as it grapples with mounting pressures from global energy crisis. The government says the move is necessary to manage rising import costs and ensure stable electricity supply across key sectors of the economy. According to officials, lower-income households will be protected with no changes to tariff for lower consumption bands. However, higher-use residential customers will face an average increase of about 16%, while commercial users will see tariff rise by roughly 20%. Authorities say the country's energy import bill has surged significantly due to ongoing geopolitical tensions affecting global oil markets. The price adjustment forms part of broader efforts to reduce energy consumption, ease fiscal pressure, and maintain economic stability. In Nigeria, Nigeria's aviation sector is gaining momentum as Murtala Mohammed International Airport records the fastest air traffic growth among African leading airports. Data released by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria shows the Lagos Airport achieved 11.8% increase in air traffic movement in 2025. In cargo operations, the airport also posted strong performance, recording a 34.4% rise, the highest among continent's top 10 airports. According to FAR Managing Director Olubunmi Kuku, the figures highlight Nigeria's growing importance as key aviation and logistic hub in Africa. She noted that Nigeria is now Africa's second-largest domestic passenger market, handling over 10.5 million passengers with steady year-on-year growth. With both Lagos and Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport ranking among Africa's top 10, stakeholders say the country is positioning itself as a major player in continental air transport and trade. And a new report by the African Union and African Development Bank says global shipping disruption could create short-term economic gains for some African countries. The report notes that routed trade flows and rising commodity prices are opening opportunities for selected economies despite broader global uncertainties. Countries like Nigeria are expected to benefit from higher oil prices and increased export, while Mozambique could see gains from renewed activity in liquefied natural gas. Key ports including Durban in South Africa and Marvis Bay in Namibia are also experiencing increased traffic as vessels avoid traditional routes. However, the report warns that the ongoing conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran is driving up global oil prices and raising inflationary pressures across Africa. Analysts caution that while some gains exist, prolonged disruption could weaken growth, worsen food and energy costs, and increase fiscal strain across the continent. Lastly, federal government is taking a major step to revive its struggling electricity sector as President Bola Tinubu approves a 3.3 trillion naira plan to clear long-standing industry debts. The settlement targets liabilities accumulated over a decade, affecting power generation companies, gas suppliers, and distribution network across the value chain. According to the presidency, Agreements covering about 2.3 trillion naira have already been signed, with 15 power plants with partial payments underway. Nigeria's power sector has long struggled with low generation levels, producing less than 4,500 megawatts for a population of over 200 million people. Officials say clearing the debt backlog will restore cash flows, enable generation to produce gas, and improve electricity supply to businesses and households. While the government described the move as a critical reform, analysts says its success will depend on sustained funding, improved tariff, and broader structural changes in the sector. And that's it on Kakaaki Business. Good morning.
All right, thank you for the business package right there. Back to the studio here. I'm not doing this alone this morning. Let the drum not roll
Yeah, thank you, Rena. Good morning. How are you today?
Very well. How are you too?
Yeah, I'm good. Great to be here. It's Tuesday. It's a busy part of the week. Everybody's still getting to make sure that the week goes well as well. I'm sure Kakaaki will be enjoyable for us today.
As always.
Yeah. All right, so it's time for us to bring you our report, and this is on rebuilding family units. So voices from different generations came together in Abuja on Monday with a shared concern, the growing strain on the family unit and what it means for the future of society. At the Generation Next Impact event, speakers emphasized that the family remains the most vital building block of any nation, warning that when homes are broken, the ripple effects can lead to social instability, crisis, and long-term societal challenges. Do watch this report.
Speakers at the Generation Next Impact event noted that with the rise of social media and an increasing range of lifestyle choices, marriage is facing pressures unlike ever before. Discussions centered on the rising rate of divorce and single parenting, with experts linking these trends not only to incompatibility, but also to a lack of proper preparation and access to honest, practical information about marriage.
We are growing in a very challenged environment. That's why I call it.
So having more marriages struggle today because the seed that we know is wrong. So one thing that we need to do is to relearn what marriage is. That's a major, gap that we're having in this generation.
Beyond the concerns, however, there was a message of hope and responsibility directed at young people. They were encouraged to be more deliberate and intentional in preparing for marriage rather than relying on assumptions or societal pressure.
We are here to shape that culture. We are here to shift the narrative. We are here to help them see that there is light in marriage, that marriages do work. We are here to change the message that marriages are not prison yards, they are not captivity.
And I saw that when you carry that one into the marriage, be rest assured that godliness will characterize your home.
The event underscored the need to change the narrative of broken homes, with the understanding that the future of society is deeply tied to the strength, stability, and values upheld within the family. Kedanojo Okoliko.
All right, listening to that report, you could see that indeed family will always remain the vital part of every society. We look at it as very small, but as we're taught in social studies, is the smallest unit of the community, of the society, and whatever forms from there always affect the society at a larger capacity. Right, so Chooks, I want you to also listen to this and see how this affects you, because impacts from society would always, from the family, the smallest unit really, would always affect the world. So people would say the bandit, the thief, the Zone 4 ladies, if you miss that, that's an inside joke, but it's Zone 4 ladies,
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so they are from families as well. So we would always want to blame the government. Meanwhile, what we are supposed to do from our smallest spaces, we are not indeed doing it and living it. A bandit has a father, a bandit has a mother, he has an uncle, even if they were not part of their life, but someone brought them into this world.
Yes, but I will not entirely take out the government, though, but we'll leave their own for another discussion.
Definitely not taking them out.
Yes, though, but the family is very important. There are people who probably had, not so great growing up. Probably a lot of broken homes, father not available, mother not available, and all of that. I think one key thing we've had missing from our society is the kind of communal upbringing you usually hear that happens in the past. These days, if somebody, goes out and makes money, if, let's say in the next, in 6 months, goes and does fraud, there's a high percentage or a high chance that the family is going to be very welcoming of that person, not even bothering on what the source of their income is, these days. But according to, stories in the past, you usually hear that the father, the mother will question you, the uncles, the aunts, they will question you.
Even community people.
Yeah, they'll question the source of that income. But these days, it really isn't, like that, because a lot of people, let's be honest, a lot of people are actually struggling a whole lot. So probably that just clouds their judgment. They have seen, that relief, their miracle, so they won't question all of that. But it's very key to have great, family structures. I think we really need to have that back in our community. And again, you cannot also blame a lot of people, because there are people who feel they don't need families because it's going to be a whole lot of work. I mean, young people at 27, 28 can actually think of even starting, their own family. How many people are actually ready for that? And for those who are in these families, how many of them have actually gone through processes where they experience good upbringing in their own time to also transfer that to their own kids? So sometimes the father, the mother's upbringing as well would reflect in how they, bring up their own kids. So there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done with the family structure.
When you mentioned there are families that would rather celebrate their children who are well-to-do, quote-unquote, from the other source, I just remember this family that on papers they will tell you, we don't do this, stay away from pressing laptop and all of those things. But when eventually those children disobeyed them and they started bringing stuff to the house, they were celebrating them. I'm like, okay, why? Where is the principle of don't do this in our family? But we have to run and also bring in our next story, which will be that the SDP, former SDP presidential candidate Adewale Adebayo, has also called on the federal government to review its approach to national security, and that's because of the recent killings that we've witnessed, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. We have that report, we'll see it, and then we come back to the studio.
This was the scene of the brutal attack on the night of March 29, 2026, which left families devastated and a community in shock. Presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Adewale Adebayo, wants President Bola Tinubu to move beyond rhetoric, arguing that the current administration is merely reacting to tragedies rather than preventing them.
If you are President Bola Tinubu and you still say as of today, you don't know the killers, then you should resign and leave the place. Because by now you should know who the killers are.
The SDP chieftain described the perpetrators as enemy of the state, whose goal is to destabilize the Middle Belt. He called for a total overhaul of the security architecture to ensure intelligence-led operations.
And anyone who is responsible enough to be in government ought to know that Plateau is the soul of Nigeria, it's the heart of Nigeria. Because this is a place where everyone in Nigeria has someone.
The residents of Angwaruguba are also demanding sustainable actions to prevent repeated attacks.
That, if possible, though the IG was here, we also requested for the upgrade of this police station or police outpost, so that at least there will be manpower in the police station here.
As Jos begins the long road to recovery, the call for a political will in Abuja grows louder, with many hoping that this latest tragedy will be the last. Wildcats Quackfoot, AIT News, Jos.
Welcome back from that report there by our colleague on, the security issue surrounding around the country and how the federal government used to take different approach, different steps to tackling this insecurity. They've launched CCTV, AI cameras, initiatives. I don't know how that's going to be effective. How many of our police officers are trained to carry out forensic, investigations by using pictures from the images there? I don't know. Do we have the database as well? If you put a video now from the CCTV into your system, is there a database that can run face matching? You know, when you watch all these spy movies and whatever, and even they do it, you know, abroad, if they want to trace a car, they just take the, you know, plate or the picture from the car and then trace whoever. Do we have that, you know, here if we're talking about over 5,000
You know,
cameras?
when that initiative was announced, when President Bola Tinubu visited Jos and stopped at the airport last weekend, I just thought that this is not even very different from what TikTok has been providing. So these guys, they already make videos. They put them out there. You have their account, so you could even trace them if you want. They make videos of their victims, terrorizing them. They make videos of their ransom, putting out the money right there, and nobody does anything about it. So I'm really wondering what difference TikTok, that is already providing us with all of those things, what the AI CCTV, 5,000 of them, would do. As you say, so what's the signal? Does it have the capacity to send signal to the authorities to say, oh, I just saw someone holding a machete right here? And one bad thing, Chooks, that I see, you know, when the president says it's only God that can console you, even if I give you the biggest of money, it can't do anything, which, yeah, true. How about people that do not even believe that God exists? Yes. How about people who are not Christians, people who are not Muslims? They are just there. They're not even traditionalists. They do not believe that God exists. So who is going to console them about that? I say that the PSC, that's the Police Service Commission, they've started the recruitment of about 50,000 constables to fight insecurity. We are also wondering, with the growing clamor for the establishment of police, state police, are we not recruiting men, more arsenal in the arm of the powerful? So these are another conversations to have. We spoke about intelligence gap, and we say, oh, for example, the US is here, their boots are on our soil, or they are not going to fight, no combat mission or anything, just provide intelligence and guide us through this. When we talk about intelligence gap, we've seen seculars as well, making it even to the space of social media. The latest being from Plateau State, where the non-state actors have sent a memo that will be attacking, and nothing was done about it. Yeah. Even with that intelligence, something which are taken as intelligence, they were still successful. I saw the number of people that they killed. And forever and ever, Ayuba promised that son that the mother held to herself, living in denial, saying that my son is not dead, my son is not dead, speaking life to him, will forever be the biggest of that, even though that no loss is higher to the next. When we speak about justice as well, I feel like justice is a very vague concept. Justice, will the child come back? Yeah. How will I feel? Can I ever feel the same way? Will my loved one ever come back with the trauma? For example, I have dogs in my house, and you know how traumatic it is. If I'm coming out as early as 5 a.m. and I just feel maybe a dry leaf just turning, making a sound, I'm already traumatized. It wakens me like, God, what's going on? So all of that, they will forever live with that. So when we talk about justice, I will give you justice, this will not happen again. Very soon, that's Benue, the neighboring state, already recording losses. But we pray that indeed this never happens again.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, it's time for us to bring you our social intervention right about now. Do stay with us.
Now, everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go! Hello, and welcome to today's workout. Now, today's workout is pretty simple. We have 3 movements we're combining together. We have 4 seal jacks, 2 knees, and 2 toes. All right? That's what we're doing. Touch those toes. And your time starts now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Now, if this is too difficult for you, you can break it down. Just step out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 knees and touch those toes. Keep the rhythm. If I'm too fast, go slowly. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. down to 20 seconds left. You've got this. Don't hold your breath. Breathe in and out. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last 10 seconds. We're already there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't give up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And time. Well done. That was awesome. Well done. I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye.
Great people of Nigeria, welcome. Prioritizing. The key word is prioritizing. It is called opportunity cost scale of preference. What it is, the language is that the day that you understand that you don't do everything, you prioritize the things that you do. When you realize that, then you are ready to actually
every teacher or student rewarded for every chore would be hardworking. But let's weigh this assertion this way. What if you are unconsciously raising a child who cannot give selfless service, a child or student that feels that he or she deserves to be compensated for every work done? Now, here's what I think is a better way out. Why not explain to the child why he or she needs to take a certain chore seriously, the effect it would have on the environment, and how the world will positively perceive him or her as hardworking? What about rewarding the child or student once in a while? Not necessarily with gifts, but with words of encouragement, such as, "You're very hardworking," and a hardworking child or student will be a successful adult in the future. Rewarding a child or student for every chore carried out makes the child hold people to ransom with the mentality of no money, no work. But in school,
Rewarding the child with medals or good appraisals before peers is also a very good way to encourage other students to improve. In the home, it's a little different because rewarding your child before siblings can cause unhealthy rivalry, so you need to be careful. Encourage teamwork, ensuring that all your children share in the chores and reward them collectively as a team. After all, together, everyone achieves more. Honestly, that's my 2 kobo.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Ask him where is the law. National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
So people put people in poverty deliberate misplacement of priorities and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of
the former president, what I know is that he has not turned his membership card. He has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT.
Welcome back to Kakaaki, the African Voice, and it's great to have you still there. It's time for us to take a look at what the papers are saying. As you know, it's 7 a.m., and myself and Rena will not be doing it alone. We have Dr. Austin Maho joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Yeah, same here. And we also have Alhaji Majid Dahiru as well joining us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Should I tell them where I saw you over the weekend?
Yeah, I should tell them.
Okay, because I was wondering.
Very sharp.
I was wondering what was happening. Maybe she'll tell me. She'll tell me later. You'll tell me later.
You pay me.
Okay.
I don't give free info. All right, let's begin with the pages of the newspapers this morning, starting with the Authority. It says INEC may block us from 2027 elections. That's ADC spokesman speaking. Raises alarm over electoral body not honoring its correspondences.
All right, now to the blueprint. We have how INEC derecognition could shut us out of 2027. That's coming from the ADC. Don't blame your woes on Tinubu. APC chieftain tells coalition. That's it from the blueprint.
To the Daily Sun, it says ADC, INEC plotting to stop us from fielding candidate in 2027. One of the riders says gives commission 72 hours ultimatum, and youth wing CSO threatened to occupy INEC offices.
Now to the Daily Monitor, we have INEC's move may block us from 2027 elections. ADC cries out. Urges electoral body to reverse its position, resume accepting lawful correspondence, uphold its constitutional duty.
And still the same story, Nigerian pilot says 2027 ADC raises alarm, says INEC's decision to derecognize party may block it from 2027 general elections. You find this on page 8 of Nigerian Pilot this morning.
All right, now to the Daily Trust. 2027, ADC weighs options. That's the big story from the Daily Trust.
And to the Vanguard, it says 2027 INEC laying landmines to stop us from fielding candidate. That's ADC talking. And one of the writers says APC plotting. Doesn't want me on ballot. Obi speaking right there.
All right, now to Al Jazeera, Nigeria. We have 2027 elections. ADC alleges plot to exclude party. We are compelled to raise serious concerns about a developing situation that appears designed to prevent the ADC from fielding candidates. That's it from the Al Jazeera, Nigeria.
All right, from there we'll go to Observer's Time. It says ADC youths give INEC 72-hour ultimatum to reinstate Mark and Aregbesola. One of the writers says angry youths accuse the Electoral Commission of undercutting democracy. And just up there, you will see Dynasty Reloaded. Buhari's son Yusuf eyes House of Reps seat. Interesting.
All right, now to the Standard Times. We have 2027. ADC issues INEC 72-hour ultimatum, threatens nationwide protests, and that's the bold story there from the Standard Times.
And still the same story, Daily Asset says ADC presidency clash over INEC role as 2027 battle lines emerge. One writer says opposition party claims electoral body erecting legal hurdles. You'll find that on page 2 of Daily Asset this morning.
To The Guardian, we have 10 months to election. Opposition fights to stay on ballot amid legal internal conflict. And we also have, just to deviate a bit, World Health Day, concerns over health funding sustainability as U.S. exit leaves $1.9 billion deficit. That's it for The Guardian.
And from The Guardian, we cross over to Daily Global, where the INEC boss is speaking, says, Amupiton, I'm not party to any plan to turn Nigeria into one-party state.
To the Leadership newspaper, we have Kaduna Easter attack. Terrorists fired machine guns, stole church offerings. Survivor recounts. Page 4 of the Leadership newspaper.
And from there to Nigeria News Director says federal government hikes 2026 borrowing plan to 29.2 trillion naira. That's how the paper lists this morning.
And to This Nigeria, which is our final paper for today, we have power crisis, 3.3 trillion naira debt payment proposal is 2024 recycled promise. Operators unexcited by FG's offer as debt now 6.8 trillion naira. Doubt sincerity. Page 2 of This Nigeria. And those are the papers this morning. And let's go to our reviewers, starting from our first talking point for today. INEC may block us from 2027 elections from the ADC, the authority newspaper, Blueprint, Al Jazeera, all carrying that. Let's start with Alaji.
Oh, you mean the crisis between the ADC?
INEC, yes. And it says they've been talking, putting a whole lot of fire under the boss, this INEC boss's, seat. A lot of pressure on for him.
And the youth wing has given INEC 72-hour ultimatum to recognize the leadership of Mark and Aregbesola.
Okay, well, when you have such a muddled up political issue, where all sides are claiming rights and holding on to each arm of the law, for me, I think the blame for this confusion should be placed squarely on the judiciary. I have always advocated on this program that when the judiciary makes pronouncement, it should be very clear, so clear that my teenage son can pick a copy of the judgment, read, and understand what has been written. This idea of the judiciary making pronouncement and it will not be subjected to further interpretation is very wrong. It's an application of responsibility. You should interpret and break it down to the barest minimum. Nobody will be left in doubt of what the decision that the court has taken. And this has always been the dilemma. Otherwise, if the court has been very clear on this matter, break it down, describe what you mean by return to status quo antebellum, break it down, make pronouncements, list people that should not be in charge or who should not be in charge, be clear. Look, I keep saying, the judiciary, the body of what do you call it, our justices sitting on the bench, you are not a celestial body. You are not a divine authority that will speak through scriptural authorities that will not require clergymen to come and interpret either the Bible or the Quran for people to understand better. You are not God. Speak like a human being so that a fellow public can understand what you've spoken about. Look, there are many cases that the judge has caused this kind of problem, this kind of confusion. Particularly the concerns internal affairs of political parties. You make pronouncements that leave it so vague, and everybody starts interpreting it as they deem fit, and you create this confusion. So I'm saying this because there are other cases coming up on this ADC matter. One is coming up, I think, in the next few days, the one that concerns state chairmen. State chairmen has also taken some group of state chairmen, took the party to court, the bank elective to court, to say, look, we did not support what they describe as a hostile takeover of their party. Please, if you're making that pronouncement, make it very clear. Don't leave us into any form of doubt that people cannot be leveraging on to, to lay claims where they may not necessarily have, legitimate claims. So open your mouth and speak clearly and write it out so that this leaves nobody in doubt. I think I have to take how many weeks to study a judgment. Why should a judgment be studied further for further interpretation when the role of the judge is to interpret?
But is it possible for the ADC to go back to get a clearer interpretation of that judgment?
No, if you look at most of the statements released yesterday, by the ADC, they did have a press briefing, and some of the comments that have come out from the leadership of the ADC since this crisis started is on the basis that, look, there's a deliberate attempt to shut us out of the 2027 election based on INEC's timetable. Based on INEC's timetable, the ADC is supposed to have a functional national working committee, should have been able to hold its convention to elect that national working committee. And if you look at how the judgment has now truncated that process and the accusation being thrown at the ruling party that they are responsible for the crisis, there's a deliberate attempt to precipitate, crisis within the ADC so that they don't present a candidate for the forthcoming election. It's something that you begin to feel it could be true, because the option left to the ADC in relation to INEC's timetable is very narrow. They seem not to have any option at all based on these, convoluted judgment by the court, which, like Mujid has said, everybody, it's even embarrassing that even the INEC chairman, who ought to, I believe, I strongly align with that position, who ought to have sought the interpretation of the court in relation to the judgment, is the one interpreting the judgment to Nigerians. You are supposed to be, as an electoral body, a neutral body, not an interpreter of the law as it concerns one of the political parties that you are supposed to be neutral when taking decision about. So that's where the controversy is.
So what you're saying now is INEC should have maintained status quo of the mark.
What is status quo?
No, what I'm saying is they should have not gone to their website to remove them.
No, they have
and then go back to the
court.
courts.
With court judgment.
They have it, yeah, but that court judgment is
should have been clear.
Very clear. What is the status quo? Is it from September, or is it from July, or is it before July?
So that is. Don't begin to blame INEC. Because INEC has a duty to look at the judgment as okay. From my own understanding,
and interpret it.
This is what it is. But what we are saying is, next time, please give a ruling that is very clear. If you and I
that's not ambiguous.
That's not ambiguous at all.
I've listened to some analysis concerning the ADC and INEC and APC not wanting us to be on the ballot come 2027. And as we've seen ADC say that, this is a witch crying at night and a baby dying in the morning, that it should be understandable or understood that APC is solely working against us in this. But I've also seen comments that said that taking over the leadership of the ADC was, not so pure. It was not a clear process by the ADC. They thought that, okay, Ralph Nwosu could just say, go ahead with the leadership and then things are sorted out. And also, the Rafiu guy, the Rafiu Balagombe, Nafiu Balagombe, thank you. His pictures and videos at the handing over, they are trending on the space of social media right now. People say, well, he doesn't look happy that anything is going on. But I want us to look at it holistically. ADC has said we will go ahead regardless of INEC recognizing our congresses or whatnot to do our congresses, which we know does not hold water. And I think that's dangerous for them. So what can they even do at this time? The youth wing yesterday briefed the press, and they are giving INEC 72 hours to flip this decision.
Oh, they do INEC. Okay.
Their options are very limited.
The judiciary should hasten up to make a pronouncement on the matter.
To clear the...
I think at the appeal court, right? Is it appeal court?
No, it's the Federal High Court.
That's not the Federal... Okay, they were asked to return to Federal High Court.
So can they ask for accelerated hearing?
And the Federal... what ADC should have asked for now.
It's a speedy hearing of the case.
And we, as public interest journalists, let us also call it the judiciary to hasten up and make that pronouncement within the next 48 hours.
Because the case was actually adjourned, I think, to the 17th of this month. Which is,
so it can be brought back, right?
Yes, they should. It's a case, it has national implication. It's urgent. Because if you look at it, what option is really, you are trying to speculate, what option is left to the ADC?
There's no option. It's already
the option.
For the judiciary.
Let's wait for the judiciary to make that pronouncement, move en masse to another political party. Is that possible? Is there time?
Do they have the time?
Or boycott the election. If they decide to boycott the election and create crisis and give credibility problem to the forthcoming election, is that really an option? Because you have only succeeded in depriving those who wanted to contest under the umbrella of your party the opportunity to contest for the election. These are not options. I feel like, and I align with Moji's thoughts on this, that look, there's a need for the judiciary to see this as a matter of urgent national interest and die back the hand of the clock from that 17th date and possibly make sure that a judgment, an unambiguous judgment, is delivered this week, clearing what they mean by...
apply to them, that they should please consider bringing it back in view of the INEC time so that they do not lose out.
I think the position of the ADC, it doesn't look like they expect much from the judiciary, because listening again to analysis, you say this is another go-to-court era, an extension of the now ambassador-designate Yakub Mamudu, that's his era. You will see color red, he says it's black, and the next he says go to court to debate all of this. So it might also be that they are already, they know the end of the road already, that there's no light at the end of the tunnel, even if they go to court.
It has to depend on the strength of the
argument. At times, it's a delicate situation for one to make pronouncement on. But at the end of the day, is the process. Is the law.
You have to go through
You have to go through it.
There are no other ways to go about it.
You cannot advocate anything other than follow the process, so that the fruit of the process is not a poison fruit at the end of the day.
I don't think we can say more than that.
Okay. Let's move on to another talking point today. We're going to the leadership newspaper right now. We have Kaduna Easter attack, terrorists fired machine guns, stole church offerings, survivor recounts. Very sad one that happened during the Easter celebrations. And I asked a question yesterday on our sister station, Ray Power. Why is it that when holiday periods, come in, we always hear from security operatives that we have so and so thousand men on ground across the states, but we keep seeing these things happen? Why is it that we do not actually see the security operatives, being
proactive, doing what is necessary?
Yes.
It's just like last week when we were here, we spoke about the Jos crisis, right? About the carnage in Jos and the need for government to be proactive. Yeah, and I think as journalists also, we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention to what is happening and the need for us to hold government accountable to the people. in respect to the crisis that is happening across the country, and look at a pattern of most of these, terrorist attacks across the country, and how, people who you expect to respond to it, what are they saying? How have they responded to it? Throughout last week, early last week, a particular name was trending. And the name was Alex.
Babi. The U.S.
Alex,
missionary.
Yes. It was trending. And why was that name trending? Because the guy made a social media post where he was calling for accountability from the government and attacking, as it seemed, the government for its inability to be proactive in arresting the situation, especially after the Jos incident. Do you know what shocked me? Why I said that at times we should pay attention to pattern. A lot of people from a particular part of the country, even clerics from a particular part of the country, seized on that moment and started attacking the guy. In fact, someone very high, I don't want to start throwing names around, in the religious segment in this country, came out and made a statement to the effect that this guy was a foreign agent sent by a foreign country to come and destabilize Nigeria.
Yeah, Gumi posted him on his Facebook.
I don't want to mention. You understand? I don't want to mention it. But what surprises me is that these same people that are criticizing somebody for reacting to the carnage in your country, they don't make any statement, any comment when this crisis happened, when this attack happened. They don't release any statement to condemn the attacks or even call on government to go after the perpetrators of this attack. Why? Is this how to build confidence in the system? Is this how to hold a government accountable to the people? Is there another agenda that these people are pursuing that we don't know, other than national security, safety of life and property? So these are some of the complications. Now we have moved from just last week. We are now talking about Kaduna. I bet you by next week, we'll be talking, Alex Badr is out of the country. By next week, we'll be talking again about another attack. It's not about the individual. The country belongs to us. If a foreigner is talking about the crises in our countries, it's out of concern. And is what he's saying, is he right or wrong? Is it a direct concern about the issues that we are confronted with? And where is all this talk coming about? What is happening across the country again? Is it not enough security risks that is enough to lead to a disintegration of this country? Do we even need a foreigner to show us the mirror for us to see ourselves for who we really are?
All right. Let's bring in some of our viewers on YouTube at this point. We are Africa Independent Television, TV also on YouTube. Adero says the various unclear judiciary pronouncements were done on purpose. Our judiciary have decided to be making inconclusive pronouncements in order to give advantage to some vested interests. RZA says, which judiciary? The one that is an arm of the APC? Another thought, too, coming from Advanvana, says, Advantage. It says, with Nigeria's burgeoning problems, I don't see any attempt at developing Nigeria's infrastructure master plan. All we keep hearing of is political terrorism, banditry, lack of electricity, etc. And Kadri James says, we said there was no opposition parties, but here is one, and see the true nature of APC. Quite a number of reactions right there. You have some?
Yes, a whole lot of reactions, and we have from Ugona, he says, I don't think there was any irregularities as regards the David Mark-led excos of the ADC taking over the party. That same guy was present in all events involving the handover. We also have INEC is supposed to be independent. INEC is not supposed to interpret the judgment from the courts. That's coming from Anselm. And we also have Grace saying, when I appointed this INEC chairman, I said it will be worse than Yakubu Mahmoud. Okay, so I'm guessing when it's referring to when the INEC, chairman was appointed there. So some of those comments there. Back to, the conversation now. Now we're looking at solutions to these problems. We've seen where the president has promised, turn around and all. We're hearing of AI cameras in different parts and all. So what's the real solution to these problems? Because when you look at those AI cameras, do we even have the database, to work with such pictures that will come out from, for example, if it's placed at a junction now, you're able to view bandits or terrorists. Can we pinpoint their faces? Can we immediately pinpoint their locations? All of that.
Even if you do, what will you do about it?
There are videos. Are you aware that even the so-called kidnappers and
they post
terrorists,
their videos on
they are posting
we talked about
without covering their faces. They make videos. Bandits.
They are roaming the streets in areas that they control.
If in many parts of Nigeria, they move around in convoy of 20, 30, 50, or 100 bikes. If your AI camera picks those videos up, everybody has most Nigerians own smartphones.
Earlier
they are already doing that job for the federal government by recording these things. The terrorists themselves who are committing these atrocities, they are equally recording themselves with their faces open, not covered.
Posting ransom, posting victims, posting their
what has government? Yes. So at the end of the day, I think Tinubu misfired in his visit to Jos. He misfired. He was not guided. And he made so many gaffes and embarrassing statements about no light in the airport. I have to leave in the next 10 minutes. Bayo Nanuga released a statement and trying to explain all the gaps. You can't go into the city, but those you were supposed to visit, you can go and convey them in buses and bring them to the airport. But Mr. President cannot go and meet them where they are. So it's all an embarrassment. And like I always say, 2027 is around the corner. And as citizens, as electorate, we should always bear it in mind that, look, elections have consequences. And whatever consequences we are experiencing with the current crop of leaders we have in this country is deserving on the citizens, because the people deserve the kind of leadership they get. So to say you want to procure cameras to deal with insurgency in the country, it shows your lack of understanding of the problem we are confronted with in this country. Or maybe you just want to give contract to the boys in the name of dealing with insecurity in the country, which, for me, is not the solution at all to the problem.
All right, Alhaji, let's have your input in this. Yes,
now, is it even a solution of personnel? Putting more, personnel in the police, the army, and all state policing?
These are factors that are a given in terms of security.
And maybe we can talk about intelligence gap, the said intelligence gap.
Because the nature of insecurity does not require intelligence gathering. It's an open affair. Bandits are not hiding.
And they even send memos ahead of the attack.
They are not hiding. They are everywhere. So
and many state governments are even holding meetings with them.
And you need intelligence to tackle bandits.
What are we talking about?
It's an open affair.
Prodigal sons.
So exactly. So what I think is this. You talked about Shegumi and some of our leaders in the Northwest, particularly those from the Muslim divide. But there's something curious, too, that we sometimes overlook. If you look at the leaders from Plateau, I listened to Governor Jonah. He blamed the crisis on politics, that they want to discredit Tinubu and reduce his vote. That's why they are doing this attack, right? I listened to the former governor, Simon Lalong. He was saying that they know what is happening and they know the solution, but they have to meet with Mr. President in-house, behind closed door in Abuja, so they can say the truth to themselves. Now, one would have expected that the DSS by now should have been working around the clock with these two gentlemen to ask them, for the one that said it was politics, so who are the people that you know went to kill a young man whose mother held the body, the dead body, close to her chest, an image that has become a symbol of the pains that mothers go through in Nigeria. So who are those politicians you know? And which party do they belong to? What are their names? And so give us the full details now. So we can arrest them. They are the ones that gave AK-47 to go and shoot at people just like that. Secondly, for the man that said, we know, all of us here, we know what is happening. One would have expected by now, you should have been debriefed by the DSS too. To say, okay, since you say we all know, meaning you are involved too, and we all know. The way political leaders in this country reduce serious issues of human insecurity, insecurity of lives and properties to partisan politics is amazing. It's sacrilegious. Look, it is the height of irresponsibility.
Insensitivity.
Plateau leaders. These are plateau leaders. People that should have been called on the president to say, come and restore security in our state. You are now trying to adduce politics and other factors that without emboldening these guys to keep doing what they are doing. I keep asking the question. Please, why would a citizen of or a resident of Plateau bear the brunt, be allowed to bear the brunt of anybody's political machination without the state protecting the person? I've always said it that if I wanted to shoot at somebody today, if I wanted to kill somebody, it's my desire to kill the person. The state has a responsibility to prevent me from doing it. And if indeed I had intention that I'd take one or two to maybe procure an arm, the relevant kind of arms and ammunition to do out carry whatever, that alone is conspiracy. I should serve jail time for that alone. Attempted, it's called attempted murder now. There's something called attempted murder. That is, before you even carry the act that you are attempting to, you can be jailed. That is the effect of the state. Now, you excuse the killing of people who know nothing about politics, who know nothing about the things you are talking about, who is not concerned. It's not their business. These are ordinary people in their farms, in their homes, in their hood, ordinary human beings who are not affiliated to any political party. People go down and mow them down, and you stay in the comfort of your zone, the lounge in the airport, and say, we know who is responsible. And the commander-in-chief is sitting there before you. You couldn't tell him, commander-in-chief, hunt down the killers of our people. Whatever they come from, whatever the intention, whatever it is. Look, what's happening in Plateau is not communal crisis. And I'll keep telling the intelligence community in Nigeria, it is not communal crisis. I've lived through crises in my life. I've seen communal crisis. Let me tell you the nature of a typical communal crisis in Nigeria. When you have communal crisis anywhere in the country, either over land, chieftaincy, the usual things, every member of the conflicting community are always involved. Some people volunteer to go physically to fight. Some will do the funding. Some will do the moral support. Some will do you find that everybody's involved because what they are contending with is existential to their identity.
Okay.
So discover that even those of us in Abuja will be involved at home. We are vested because it's about you want to deprive us of that thing that legitimizes our identity. This is a typical communal crisis. Even that, the state should not excuse communal crisis. We are not in the jungle. You can't get up and start fighting yourself over issues. The state is supposed to be able to prevail upon everybody to restore law and order. Now, when a group of people are sitting down, they don't have any problem with anybody. They're not in their farms, in their homes, and a group of killers just go and kill 100. That does not qualify as communal crisis. This is terrorism.
Okay.
This is mass murder. Inching towards genocide. So you come and you now gather elders from both tribes and sit them in the hall and say, try to live each other in peace. Are they the ones killing people? And if they're the ones killing people, they should be arrested and prosecuted, not being prevailed upon to live in peace.
Okay.
These are the issues. And for as long as we keep missing the target in Plateau, this killing will continue ad infinitum.
Okay.
And just to add to what he has said, look, we have been using the same template over time to deal with this issue. Has it not occurred to the government that this template that we are using is not working, will not work? God forbid, we'll come back next week to talk about Plateau, Benue, or Kaduna, or Zamfara. or any other state in the next
Sad one, indeed. Absolutely, a very sad one. And we just hope that things look alive going forward for the entire country. Thank you, Dr. Austin Mahal, for coming this morning, and thank you, Alhaji Majid Dahir as well. I appreciate you. All right, so we'll go on a short break, and we'll return with our first conversation for today on police and the Jos violence. We have our guests, standing by, so do stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Focus, Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
That is the law. National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
So people put people in poverty deliberately, deliberate misplacement of priorities, and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of
For
this
the former president,
yes.
what I know is that he has not turned his membership card. He has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT. The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
There is a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go. Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it, but for that reason, politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
All right, thank you for being with us and welcome back to our first conversation this morning. We told you before the break that we're looking at police and the Jos violence, and our guest is seated here live in the studio. The CEO, Green Assembly Initiative, is Dr. Duke Alamboye. Good morning, Dr. Alamboye. Thank you for joining us.
For having me.
Right. Now, the speed at which the police responded in the Jos North attack over the weekend has received commendation, and we had teams who say, oh, within 48 hours, everything was back to normal. From a security architecture standpoint, how does this rapid mobilization differ from experiences that we've had in the Middle Belt?
Okay, first of all, let me congratulate Nigerians for the long holiday and the Easter period. And it has been used for positivity and also negativities in our country. Kudos to the Nigerian police. Of course, this is what we want to see, the quick responses and proactiveness along these actions of saving Nigerians from this menace we call insecurity in our country. This is what you get when you put round pegs in round hole. I think the new IG of police is an operational man, so he understands what operation means. So I want to also join millions of Nigerians that have stood out to congratulate the swift response. You know, for the first time or one in a time that we never saw the people get panicked about the situations, but the police came in and handled. So I think what message this passes to us is that when things are put in place, I think the police can function very properly. Administratively, operational-wise, I think the new set of AIGs and the DIGs and the IG of himself are really trying to see how they can put themselves into the normal nomenclature of job, which is protecting Nigerian citizens. They are the civil security personnel we have. So I think for the just incidents, they had great concerns, and I like the way, the approach they use in normalizing the situation in Jos. Irrespective that what Nigerians really yearning for is proactiveness, not the other way around, not allowing crimes and incidences to occur before it has been put to control.
All right, now some individuals, school of thought, will talk about how it's better to use a soft approach, you know, instead of using maximum force, engaging with the communities and all to avoid, you know, reprisal attacks and all in these volatile areas. And some will also now argue that there really aren't, you know, reprisal attacks though. But from the policing point of view now, is this going to help in breaking this historical cycle of violence we've seen, that's using soft policing, dialogue with these communities and all?
Yes, I think one predominant thing is gaining confidence from the police side of security. Community Nigerians gaining so much confidence. So the issues climaxed to an extent where people began to feel that the police, whose primary duty is to protect citizens, you know, people got fed up. People never had that confidence in the police. So I think you're correct when you say soft approaches. The police need to come in very swiftly to a point where the common Nigerian will have that confidence. Like I used to analyze when we were younger ones growing up. If you're taken to a DPU, if you've committed any offense, local offense or whatever, community offense, and the fact that they are taking you to a DPU, it's like you're already in jail. So we want that kind of policing again, where the respect, the value people want from them is restored. If all these things begin to happen, the dignity in labor for police be restored. If all these things begin to happen, you will see people in a given communities or crime-prone communities will have that confidence in communicating with the police. So these approaches have always been very harsh and rude approaches, and then people tend to not even believe that the police have the capacity to handle situations around this. Don't forget, they are the closest, the police are the closest people, security agencies to the people in our country. So there must be that synergy, there must be that strength of relationship between the people and the police. And I think this is the right time for us to have that, because if you take a good look at the circle of insecurity now, it is beginning to be a soft target for the local communities. What are the duties of the DPOs? The DPOs need to be strengthened. The DPOs need to have strategic positioning to see how they can get the people for information gathering, get the people for combined security, and I think it will help solve these issues we are having so much. You can't tell me that in a whole community, bandits or what the criminals will walk into such communities without anybody giving any information, no prior information, no, you know, not any form of intelligence, because people don't even believe that the police can do that. So it's a huge tax for the police to begin to adopt this soft, what they've done in Plateau State, to have the confidence of Nigerians once more again.
Okay, well, take it up from where you just stopped about intelligence and being proactive, which you mentioned in your earliest intervention. Now, given the recurrence and the history that this part of the country suffers crisis, and then we have the police that is primarily saddled with the responsibility of ensuring peace and order everywhere. Would you say that the police is lacking in that regard of proactiveness, not being reactive only as you started with? with?
So it all depends. With it all point fingers to the fact of who is at the helm of affairs. Like I rightly said, when you put an administrative person at the helm of affairs, you get straight and good administration. When you put an operational personnel, like if you take a look at the IGs, the antecedents of the present IG, and the AIGs on operations, and the DIG on operations, you will see that these are very operational personnel. So if operations is intact, the man at the helm of affairs believes in operation. Operation means activeness of the police per day, daily. So the Directorate for Operations in the police and the IG will always function daily to ensure that their target, in fact, what I would suggest even is, or my projections will be that Nigerian police should concern themselves with operations. For the now that we have insecurity, every other thing should be left aside, and they should concentrate on redirecting their men into operations. Because to start with, we even have very few policemen on ground. So if they beef up operations as they've done, it will also result to proactiveness, because men will always be on ground to check men. In those days, if you're traveling from one state to the other, you will see patrols. You see police patrols from one point to the other. You see police stoppage from genuine police stoppage from one point to the other. So these are proactive measures. If these things are done, of course, then also apply the use of technology, because I think primarily now it's not at every scene or at every point we should deploy men. Technology can come into certain play. In River State, when Rotimi Amechi was governor, he had what we call C4I. So the toll gates were used as a checkmate to criminals trying to enter into a particular place. From distance, you could ascertain who is coming and who is not, who is armed and all of that. So I think operations, if operations is key in the police today, it will ginger and affect proactiveness in security. What we lack recently now, that we are always having crimes carried out before or killings carried out before the intervention, is because there is no proactive measures. And I think the IG should position himself as a man of operations to ensure that he hammers on operations. If operations is carried out daily, there will be proactiveness in the police, and they will have that first-class information prior to when all these menace wants to occur in our community.
All right, you brought in technology, and yes, the governor as well, Caleb Muswang, was talking about using of drones, use of AI, enabled surveillance. Yes. How was this critical, during that period of the 48-hour curfew, in terms of tracking the criminals and in trying to reduce tension? Is this modern technology, was it used in that? And going forward, how can that also be used?
Who is going to use them? Local intelligence. Who is going to use them? The IG has just drawn up the framework for state policing. So I'm even amazed. It's taking time. I think that was the first thing he did when he ascended into power. He has drawn up a framework for state policing, so linking himself to the directives of the president. So I think that should be taken care of. If you have that state policing, of course, usage of technology will be predominant. You cannot leave your state A to state B to say you're using technology. So it will now involve the people protecting themselves. So this brings us to governance, where state governors will be directly involved in protection of their citizens' properties and lives of the citizens in their domain. State policing, people kept saying state policing, looking at the disadvantage of all preempting state policing.
Being more tools in the hands of the powerful.
What state policing would do in our nation at this precarious time is more than politics. Look, in advanced countries and developed countries, they have even local government policing. The effect of this is that it makes the people aware, become more aware of their security consciousness. So state policing, the framework he has done, we need to follow it up to ensure that it comes to being, so that we can hold our state governors. Everybody, when there's insecurity, everybody talks about the federal government. So we have number one citizens in every state. We have the chief security officers of the state. So what are their duties? When state policing is properly followed up, you will see the state governors begin to know that they have the responsibilities. It was like your analyst, they analyzed here. It was, during the past week, I felt so very bad the way our leaders have treated both the state governor going to a crime scene that we know that the criminals are not even there. At the moment the governor of Plateau State was visiting the crime scene, even God knows, even his enemies knows that there is no bandit there. So what was the purpose of using an armored car to address your people? It shows it demonizes the people. It brings down the confidence people have in government. You should use your toe without making appraisal to Rotimi Amaechi. When there was a lot of kidnapping in Rivers State, Amaechi went to the creeks. It defiled security intelligence. He said, "This is my state. I am the chief security officer. If they want to kill me," these are the kind of spirits we want to see from our governors. You don't go to address an harmless crowd where you even have well-beefed security with this thing. He should apologize to his people. And of course, I don't know the people that advised or put up the itinerary for the president to have arrived. We all were happy that the president was going to Plateau State, only to end up the paraphernalia of security that followed him. The IG was there. The serious security men were there. So does it mean that the security of the president cannot be guaranteed if he had gone to the scene of crime? So these are very embarrassing steps that have been taken within this.
Well,
so
about that, the federal government has explained that they were expecting the Chadian counterpart of Mr. President Bola Tinubu. So you know that the visit to Plateau was sort of squeezed into his itinerary. So
no.
Is that understandable?
No, let us not even. I commend his tenacity, but you know the advisors are my issues. I know that if they have stood their grounds to say, we must be there, he will be there. If it was a funeral, a burial ceremony of one big dignitaries,
or even campaign.
Even if it's a campaign, they will make way for the president to be there. So I blame the advisors that had advised that itinerary section. If he has stepped down into Plateau State, there's nothing stopping him from going to, even if it's a minute, to see that state. It's not nice. Inviting people that are very bereaved, or better still, the president would have gone to the government house to sympathize with the president as a symbol of leadership. So these are the issues we're talking about. I don't know why. Why are we shying away from handling securities? I'm very personally a little bit disappointed at what some governors do when they hear of solving insecurity. They direct it to federal government. They say it's not their duties, and this is very, very wrong. If you take a pattern, your analysts were also saying it. If you take a look at the pattern insecurity is going now, it is now local-based. It is now local-based. The terrorists or the bandits are beginning to move from state A to state B. Just in recent times, we can count 5 to 6 states they've traveled. They've moved like traders, doing their businesses. So to discuss, there are so many issues that few people in the country making feel very uncomfortable.
True. Back to discuss, if the time permits us, the unsecured borders that we have in Nigeria today. But the applause that the Nigeria Police Force has backed from their operations 2 weekends ago. People are asking, is it possible for the institutionalization of this standard operating procedure for maybe flashpoints across other countries or across other parts in Nigeria? So this is a win coming from security operatives. Can we then domesticate it? Can we own it and make sure that this is the SOP moving forward across countries, that we don't have to say maybe even fuel a police car or call because you are not a big name socially before security operatives will come to your rescue?
Yes, I feel that it's sustainable. The IG has tested, I think this is his first insurgency is moving to, it used to be the military. So he has assumed the full position of securing citizens, and for the first instance, he got it right. So I think they should look at the methodologies they've applied in Plateau State, but proactively, not resting. If this is what the IG can provide throughout his tenure, let us not forget election is approaching. So my mind bleeds. How will people come out to vote? Voter apathy will increase tremendously. So if we don't begin to address and bring confidence, the confidence of people back to being, nobody will come out to vote. So this is where my concern is even. We're talking about effecting good leadership, and the only tool and instrument we have is the elections. And the people, democracy is of the people. The people will have to come and make the choice. If we don't have secure countries, if we don't have secure polling stations, how will people come out? So this should be the concern of the new IG, irrespective of fighting insecurity. Let's just oppose the forthcoming elections. Let's begin to study what techniques of protection, what level of confidence can we bring back to Nigerians to come out and vote, because the game they are playing in the political circle is appalling, and people want to claim the fact that the country is not secured, the states are not secured, the LGAs are not secured. So how do they come to exercise their franchise? So I think the IG have a great responsibility to sustain this tempo he has raised. It is very commendable, and Nigerians are looking and praying that he sustains it, if not for anything, down to next year, when we'll begin to have campaigns, local government campaigns, state government campaigns, federal campaigns, and all of that, so that people can come out and elect people of their choice, not boycotting elections, basically because Nigeria is not secured. Elections must hold. There must be transition, political transition. But the people are asking, at what confidence level are they going to come out to vote?
You know, when you mentioned that the new IGP, Disu, has stepped up doing the roles of the police, indeed. I just remembered how conversations have been around. The police is your friend. Our internal security outfits, they should be our closest. In fact, when we say the police is your friend, it's because they should constitutionally ensure our immediate safety. And how over time, at least in recent history, the job has been passed to the army. So everything we say, Nigerian army didn't do what they were supposed to do. Meanwhile, it was the police that were taking backseat in what it should have done. But in this conversation, we've been applauding the police for their proactiveness in this. There are also people who believe that there is more to be desired in all of these, especially in their being proactive in terms of intelligence gathering and crime preventive techniques, which you have spoken about not being reactive, waiting for the problems to solve, but just being able to determine or ascertain that, oh, I smell a rat here, we need to poison this place ahead of it. How much can they intensify to see that this never again happens? Instead of celebrating them for being proactive, let's say celebrate them.
They should increase their force. It's very simple. I see the state policing. I see the state policing as a tool. Because Abidisho, we are all aware that the working force of the police is not enough to save over 200 million Nigerians. They're just few. So the adaptation of the state policing will bring more men on board, will bring more technological approaches on board. So I think the IG should pursue the state policing effect. It will bring funding is also a problem. I feel that the Nigerian police is also underfunded. What are their apparatus? What are their, when have they even gone for training? We've not heard any form of training in the police recently. I think Sipuishe is now the AIG for the cybercrime man is now the AIG for trading. So we want those intelligence to come up. These things can be achieved if we have more men. We can't have very few men safeguarding a community, but if the community have their input, what I mean is that they also have a security force that is working in line with the federal policing or the state policing. I think there will be that proactiveness in insecurity. What Nigerian security system is lacking is proactiveness. However, we should also commend in time past the army. They went overboard to see how they can come into internal security, and they've been able to prove over time fights on it. The CDS, kudos to him, is now the Minister of Defense, CG Musa, who have been very, 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 very prominent in fighting Nigerian security. So we think that it will be a thing of a past if we are proactive.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Duke Alamboye, for joining us this morning.
Yeah, Ambassador Duke Alamboye is the CEO, Green Initiative Assembly, and happy birthday to your mom.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday.
We're still expecting the jollof rice, though.
Yeah. Join us later now. Thank you.
Okay. It's time for us to bring you Kakaaki Social right after this break at the top of the hour. Do stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
There is a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go. Every part of this country is important.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
It is 8 o'clock, Kakaaki Social o'clock, and you are welcome to today's edition of Kakaaki Social. Now let's get started into top trending stories. I am Chidera Ezudoyi. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has suspended the ongoing voter revalidation exercise following rising concerns across the country. The commission says this decision comes after reports of technical challenges, logistical issues, and fears of voter exclusion in some areas. INEC added that this pause will allow time to address these problems and improve the process. Let's see what netizens are saying concerning the revalidation of INEC. Now, going to the space of X, we have a user who says, Why? Let them go ahead with it. Maybe it is their staff only and APC ghost members that will go out and revalidate. And we have another user saying, we know what to do, but we do not have the guts for it. And that is why we will keep messing up with the people who are meant to respect our wishes. And we have another user who says, PVC does not need revalidation in the first place. I am sure I will not revalidate, and on election day, no one will disenfranchise me. Just no one. Okay, we have another user, Engineer Hebma, who says, what is the excess of revalidation to know those still living, right? If the systems are to be in place and death. Now, there's a continuation to that. Let us continue. Big E is saying one step in the right direction. The ADC part will happen also. Well, fingers crossed, we are all waiting. In continuation, the Dangote refinery is set to import 13.62 million barrels of crude oil, valued at approximately 2.09 trillion naira. Now, reports indicate that this move is aimed at boosting productivity and production capacity, and also to ensure a steady supply of refined petroleum products here in Nigeria. Now, analysts also say that this importation could help stabilize fuel availability and reduce pressure on local supply chains. The development comes as efforts continue to strengthen Nigeria's refining capacity and reduce reliance on fuel imports. A lot has been happening with the fuel industry, the Dangote industry, but let's see what netizens are saying concerning this development. Past President Alex is saying this is exactly the kind of large-scale industrial project that reshapes regional economies. Africa needs more of these value capture mindsets rather than continuing to export raw potentials. And in the same line, Aliyu is saying, why is the Nigerian government not giving the crude oil to him in exchange for getting cheap petroleum products? Let me guess, the current government and previous government have already given our crude oil as payment and have taken loans and paying with crude oil, allegedly. Now, Damola is saying this is wild. We are one of the biggest oil producers in the world, yet our biggest refinery has to import billions worth of crude just to run. What exactly will fuel prices, when exactly will fuel prices drop for regular Nigerians? Okay, Tobe is saying massive respect to Aliko Dangote. This is a kind of a bold vision we need to reduce imports and build self-reliance. But a quick question for the squad. What is the latest on the Dangote refinery IPO? Investors have been waiting patiently for that listing window. Wow. Now, let us continue. Importing crude to keep the refinery running at full capacity isn't a bad move. But what matters is the end result. More refined products and lower fuel costs locally. Okay, now let's continue. The federal government says it has uncovered 45,000 ghost workers following the integration of the bank verification number system into the public payroll. The former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, disclosed that this discovery was made through the use of bank verification number, a biometric identification system, and designed to track financial transactions and eliminate fraud. Now, according to her, the integration helped to identify irregularities in salary payments, saving the government billions of naira. Let's see what netizens are saying concerning what Kemi said. And our reaction in the space of X says that finally, some accountability. BVN integration exposing who is really on the payroll. The federal government of Nigeria needs to turn this into real savings, not just headlines. And another user saying, Toby is saying, ghost workers are the main reason why a lot of people will work in government sector and only few people will be physical workers. In my lifetime on earth, I have never seen. Okay. Now, another user, Femi, is saying this is huge and it is great development from the parties that pulled out this initiative and executed it. And then let us continue. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has raised fresh concerns over rising insecurity across parts of the country. Atiku called on the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to fulfill his earlier promise that attacks like the Rukuba that happened will not reoccur. He also described this assurance as questionable following a fresh attack in Benue State that reportedly claimed over a dozen lives within 72 hours. The former vice president also expressed concerns over developments in the Nasarawa community where residents have reportedly fled their homes amid fears of further violence. A lot has been happening from Palm Sunday to Easter Monday. It's just a lot, but Atiku made a tweet yesterday, and let's go to the space of X and see what he said to the president. Now, this is Atiku's tweet. I'll take the first and the last paragraph. He says, I wish to remind President Bola Tinubu to keep to his words that this Angwan Rukuba attack will not repeat itself. It does appear that those words are hollow because barely 72 hours, another attack in Benue State claimed over a dozen lives. The Commander-in-Chief should brace up to the challenges of governance. And then he says, meanwhile, my thoughts and prayers are with the families who may have lost a dear one in these attacks. And netizens have been coming for him concerning this street. Let's see what netizens are saying concerning Atiku Street. Now, Mahmoud is saying, when I read through your message, you tweeted my mind, and it was like it made you different, or are you just showing sympathy to the happenings for gullible Nigerians to rally around you? Okay, now let us continue. Another user says, in the same line, Smiles Project says, until the coalition of northern leaders condemns this act, Mr. President will only deploy security personnel to the affected areas. Your voice should be louder in condemning. Okay, and Zupo is saying at official Bola Ahmed Tinubu, sir, there is need to continue and intensify the onslaught on the enemies of the nation. The enemies might not be too far away. Elections are coming and insecurity might be their campaign topic. And finally, another user saying, sir, with due respect, I am your great supporter. But at this time of insecurity in our nation, I advise you to not just say anything about it, because people are here waiting to hear something accusable from you, just to have a topic of discussion. Thank you, sir. Now, this was his encouragement to Atiku. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has clarified his comments about journalist Shehu Okimbaloye. Now, Wike stated that his remarks were misinterpreted, stressing that they were only a figure of speech and not intended as a personal attack. Let's take a look at this video.
It's really unfortunate, you know, in Nigeria, people blow everything out of context, particularly playing politics with everything. Anybody who knows my relationship with Shehu will not begin to rant. So you should understand it's a figure of speech. Now, to explain how angry I was, that look, how could we descend so low as a journalist? Instead of you to ask questions, solicit answers from them, then you can now let the public know what is going on. So for me, I've spoken to him. We have no problem. I'm sure he understands everything.
Thoroughly surprised. When I was watching politics today, Shehu, if there was any way to break the screen, I would have shot him.
I'll commit murder.
You know, in 5 feet, we'll get to him. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is how you can take yourself, the interviewer, saying that we cannot allow this only one party to do. Look, I said, what is this? I'm calling you are an interviewer. You are not telling them your own view that how can they be there and make it to allow one party in this country. We will not. I was just taken aback. I know the point I'm trying to make. There's nothing wrong. You are the interviewer asking questions. How would you have allowed this kind of thing to happen? Now you are not the one coming out in a national television making that kind of which means you've already taken a, a position, which is not right. That's the point I'm trying to make. So
So a lot of buzzwords has been going on between the FCT minister and Sheun. Sheun has also come to say that he is not afraid to be shot. He would get the job done if that is what it entails. But let's see what netizens are saying. Now, Joseph Taylor says, a figure of speech or not, a minister threatening to shoot a journalist isn't funny in a democracy. Words matter, especially from people in power. And Amadius is saying, I love him and I just dislike his inconsiderations in some aspects of the game, politics. And another user says, so it was just a figure of speech. Politics always makes things sound bigger than they are. And finally, in the same line, May says he threatened to kill a journalist, but turned around to blame the people who heard him issue the threat. Yes, he blamed us and said we misinterpreted him. And I think that is about that. On Kakaaki Social this Tuesday morning, you can reach us via the social media handles on the screen. Stay tuned and stay informed. I am Chidera Izudoye.
My baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go on stand me. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My Baba remember OPay USSD lock, dial *955*131#. Baba press lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My Baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
Kakaaki, now available in crayfish. Kakaaki, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Football lovers, movie lovers, family entertainment fans, get ready for something big because StarTimes is giving you over Jara. For a limited time, when you recharge for 2 months, you get upgraded to the next bouquet free. That's more sports, more movies, more kids shows, more entertainment at no extra cost. Over Jara. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Welcome back to Kakaaki, the African Voice on African Independent Television. Still Chooks and Rena here in the studio, and I hope you enjoyed Kakaaki Social there as well. We have a report to bring to you right now before our second conversation of the day, and this report is on Nigerians standing in 2 major global reports for 2026. That is the Crime Index and the World Happiness Report, according to Numbel's 2026 Crime Index. Nigeria ranks 13th globally, placing it among countries with the highest perceived crime levels. The news doesn't get better on the social front. The 2026 World Happiness Report shows Nigeria has slipped further down the rankings, hitting a 4-year low. Our colleague Kedonojo Okoliko takes us through.
With a crime index score of 66.2, Nigeria ranks among the most crime-affected nations globally and within Africa. The high crime perception is driven by rising cases of kidnapping and armed robbery, ongoing insurgency and banditry, urban crime in major cities, and increasing cybercrime activities. Many Nigerians also reported concerns about safety, particularly at night. Meanwhile, Nigeria's position in the World Happiness Report continues to decline. The country now ranks 106th out of 147 countries in 2026, down from 105th in 2025 and 102nd in 2024. The report measures well-being using factors such as income, social support, life expectancy, freedom to make life choices, generosity, and perceptions of corruption. Nigeria's drop is linked to economic hardship, rising inflation, youth unemployment, governance challenges, and persistent security issues. While countries like Finland, Denmark, and Iceland top the happiness rankings, others, such as Costa Rica and Mexico, show that strong social ties and community life also play a key role in well-being. Overall, Nigeria's performance in both reports highlights growing concerns about public safety and the impact of economic and social pressures on quality life. Kedanojo Okoliko, AIT News, Abuja.
Welcome back from that report from our colleague there on the happiness reports there on Nigeria. So we're moving now to our second conversation, and we have Professor Taiwo James Obindo, Department of Psychiatry, University of Jos, joining us virtually. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we can hear you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So now, following that report, what do you make of reports such as the Global Happiness Index that lumps all countries together and rates them based on yardsticks whose universality is questionable? Now, after all, we have people, being happy for different reasons.
Sorry, the last part I didn't get. But
no, I'm saying that report.
It's obvious.
Okay.
To every discerning mind. Yeah.
All right, go on.
It's obvious to any discerning mind. Yes, it's obvious to every discerning mind that presently Nigeria is in a dead street, and the happiness index will obviously portray exactly what the situation is like. From being one of the happiest in 2013, 2015, to being 106 in the world is a testament that things are not what it should be. And from the indices your correspondent read out, it's obvious that insecurity is one of the major challenges. Finances, hope is quite low compared to what it used to be. Expectations of an average Nigerian is actually fairly low now compared to what it used to be. And if you look at the support that we give to each other, it's actually dwindling. We are not as we used to be in relationships, giving each other support as we should. And of course, looking at unemployment level, looking at even underemployment, which is even worse than unemployment. Because if you are not employed, family members will know that, well, we need to support you here and there. But if you are underemployed, and what do I mean by underemployment? If you look at an average individual, a graduate who is meant to be earning nothing less than 100,000 naira, being given 20, 30,000 naira, what will such person buy with that? He or she would be family member will assume that he is receiving salary, and therefore the support that they will give will definitely be low. And so the expectation of such person will also be very low. And one of the high points of that report talked about the internet, that an average youth these days spend more than 7 hours on the internet, and then remove that 7 hours from the average number of hours that we have to interact with each other. So you can see that interaction has actually reduced, and therefore people no longer have hope. And if you look at the economic indices of the nation, an average Nigerian earning 70,000 naira, what will he buy with 70,000 naira? It's obvious, and we need to do something drastic about this. There is no light, there is no water, the roads are bad. Yes, we can say that things are a little bit better than what it used to be, but then when we compare it to where we're coming from, it is nothing to compare with where we should be. So it is a good indices, and not that we should not look and then be morose or look bad about it. We need to do more.
All right.
And improve
Professor,
the well-being of an average Nigerian. The quality of life is actually poor.
We hear you, Professor. As you mentioned when you just started speaking to us, you highlighted how we used to be perceived as the happiest people, Nigerians, as one of the happiest people in the world as far back as 2013. That's some decades ago. Even though there is no data to back that up, what would you say was responsible for that perception? Because from 2024 now, the happiness index, we were 102. Last year, 2025, 105. This year, 2026, we're even a position deeper. We're falling down to 106 out of the 147 countries that are being evaluated. So what would you say was responsible for that perception that Nigerians, one of the happiest people in the world?
If we look at the cost of fuel in 2015 and compare it with what it is now, you will definitely know that there is significant hardship for an average Nigerian. The cost of living has generally skyrocketed, and the standard of living has gone down. Even the quality of health that we have, access to health, is actually dwindling, has gone down. So all these are indicators that people are not as happy as they should be. And then if you now look at the future, what is an average Nigerian? They said the youth are the hope of the future. And we started hearing that many, many years ago. Can we actually say that an average youth have a hope for tomorrow? So all these are indicators that things are not what it should be. And the assessment, I would say, is appropriate for now. But it is not a reason for us to be downcast. It is a reason for us to do something more. 195 for fuel in 2022, and now we are buying over 130 at 1,300 naira now. You will know that surely cost of transportation, housing, and all that have also skyrocketed. It is no game-brainer to say that Nigeria needs to do more to improve the quality of life of an average Nigerian.
Okay, all right, so going by your answer to that question, I understand now that you're saying that it's been a steady, decline, and you agree with that index. But looking at that index as well, it also says that even Ukrainians who are in the middle of a bitter war with Russia showed an increase, in levels of happiness.
Well, that is one of the areas that that ranking will be somehow. But the only thing that I know will be a reason for them to be likely happy is that most of them look forward to hereafter. and they are ready to give their life for a better life out there. And therefore, they are happy in spite of the hardship that they are facing. That may be the only reason. They are also fairly well knitted together. And relationship is also one of the reasons why people are happy. The support that they receive and all that also helps them. So that may be my own explanation for their being that rated as being happy.
All right, Professor, this statistics or index measures a number of things before it arrived at the overall well-being and happiness status of people across these countries. They range from income, social support, life expectancy, freedom to make life choices, generosity, perception of corruption of our people. But the argument is people can be multidimensionally happy, just like how we can be multidimensionally poor. So how would you assess this? Because when we started, we asked you about how everything is lumped together to determine the happiness status of a people.
You know, let me maybe a little bit about the methodology of this index. Is that they randomly selected some people and then asked them to rate the level of happiness from 0 to 10. 0 being the least, and then 10 being happy. And then looking at the indices in the country, where will they rate their level of happiness? And then an average is now gotten. So it is now the scientists now trying to give meaning to the average at the assessment that people give based on the income, based on those indices that you reeled out. And looking at them, you'll notice that even the life expectancy of an average Nigerian is actually not what it should be compared to what you have in some other clime. The Scandinavia country, Finnish, Iceland and all that, they live well up to over 70. And our own life expectancy is about 52. So when you look at yourself, where will I be in the next few years? What is the hope for my children? What do I have to leave as a legacy? You know that quite a number of Nigerians are not as happy as they should be. So that may be my own reason for that. Is the scientists who are pulled together to give meaning to the average score that an average individual gives. And that's what their own explanation is. It may not entirely be correct. It's just the correlation may not be a causal direct effect of why people give that. But situating ourselves in the context of how we live, we know that things are harder than it used to be. Things are more difficult than it used to be. You go to school, you expect that after finishing school, you will get a job. But 3 years, 5 years, some even 10 years after finishing school, they are yet to even to secure a job. That is enough to make people unhappy.
All right, now, since this index was released, the government hasn't really said anything about it. Shouldn't they have an input about it as it is, because it concerns us as a nation?
Yes, I mean, that's the whole essence, that we shouldn't be downcast and then resign ourselves to fate. We must be intentional in doing something to improve the well-being of an average Nigerian. The insecurity situation needs to be attended to, and not mere words that we hear, but an average Nigerian wants to see action, that these criminals are arrested, are prosecuted, and are sentenced. And if they have to face the ultimate the whatever, then they should be, so that average Nigerian would know that it is not something being said, it's not promises being made, but we are seeing positive action from the government. Let's look at the economic indices. I am surprised that NLC is still not saying anything, with the cost of fuel almost doubling in the last few years. I mean, why on earth will we be producing oil and then Dangote has to go and buy fuel and make crude oil from America?
But NLC seems to be responding. They are calling for increased minimum wage to about 127,000 naira from the 70,000 naira that it is right now. I think they've responded.
It's not something that you need to just do and say. It's something that every Nigerian will see that they are taking action. As at now, 70,000 naira cannot transport quite a number of Nigerians. Thank God for, I mean, we thank Lagos state government, and I think one or two other state government adding a little to the salary of my average citizen. But we need to do more. It is something that they must be responsive. They don't wait until Nigeria reacts, and that's the major problem. Until Nigeria, the NLC, for instance, what do you call the resident doctors are already giving notice of strike for an agreement that was I mean, things that were agreed upon sometime before. Up to now, nothing has been done. Just promises. So things need to move. We need to do better.
Okay.
I don't need to say that the average leaders are not empathizing with an average Nigerian. Because if they put themselves in the shoes of an average Nigerian, they won't be doing what they are doing presently.
All right.
And NLC needs to do more.
Okay, Prof, we hear you loud and clear. We'll just go on a short break and return to our conversation today with Professor Taiwo James Obindo on Nigeria and happiness. We'll be right back. Do stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Where is the law? National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
So people put people in poverty deliberate misplacement of priorities and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of
for the former president,
yes.
What I know is that he has not turned his membership card. Has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT. The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
There is a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say about. Every part of this country is important.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person is gathered. The party.
Deft moves and the momentum
momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against it.
We track and capture them all. Holds body. Nigerian time. People, politics, and power brings context and clarity to issues and events in governance, democracy, and development. On People, Politics, and Power, we feature people who shape the events and define the issues.
A lot of the agencies are still struggling with implementation of freedom of information.
The government should come. We need Nigeria to work.
We examine the interplay and interaction of politics with power and their impact on policies and the people.
It's about getting the system to deliver the kind of electoral outcome that people will be happy with.
People, Politics, and Power with Imoni Amarere.
Will low-performing agencies be held to account? Or will the numbers fade after the headlines?
At 1 p.m. every Monday and Friday on AIT.
All right, welcome back to Kakaaki, the African Voice on Africa Independent Television. We're talking to Professor Taiwo James Obindo on Nigerian happiness, a professor of the Department of Psychiatry, University of Jos. And, you know, he's talked about a whole lot of why Nigerians are not happy, talking about the one key thing I also picked out was the wage aspect of things, especially in this economy. He talks about, imagine somebody earning probably 100,000 naira or even lower. He gave an example of 30,000 naira. And I just began to imagine, what do you actually want to use 30,000 naira, you know, to actually do?
You know, if you call it 30 naira, if you call 30,000 naira 30 naira right now, it will not even be wrong. And I think that it's so down now, it's so below it. I've mentioned how on May 29th, 2023, how I was in this office. Was it 2023, this government came into office? Yeah, how I was in this office, and the next thing from Eagle Square, we heard subsidy is gone. When I left home, the tea fare that I paid to work that morning is when I went home, like it was already 200%. And you know, we are so good at taking advantage of these things. Even though you've had fuel all along, your tank is filled and all that, you're already paying doubling. Like now we have the e-hailing apps. You book a ride, it's 10,000, for example, and I say, can you do 18,000 naira off? Like, bro,
you start bad haggling.
Only you this thing, they affect. It's affecting me too. I'm not being paid more because of the economy, because my office too is spending more money on operations and everything. So who does the bill at the end of the day go to? Is it my office? Is it, okay, my dependents? It will come to me, and then mine goes to the office, and my office goes to the presidency. Who eventually solves this? So it's an understanding situation, and we're quick to adapt as a people. So when you mentioned that the NLC needs to do more, which is a part I think that we should really take him on. I know that the NLC would always protest, threaten nationwide strike across their labor unions and say our men are not going to work this time and all that. But regardless of that, what action is enough action to get the attention of the presidency and all that is concerned to see that this script and the experience indeed is flipped? People are getting tired. People are getting overwhelmed. I mean, I sent my friend a message last night. I feel overwhelmed. I was dealing with something. I feel overwhelmed. We talked about it, prayed about it, and yes, I felt better. But you know, when you're even thinking of your problems, you don't even know what exactly is wrong with you. Is it the expenses? Is it the house rent that is on the increase? The rent is it's you want to pay, and the money is just double, and you're wondering,
I think you're even
a
lucky.
lot of expenses.
You have somebody to talk to about. There are people who do not have anybody to even unburden what it is that they are carrying inside. You know, there are people who do not have anybody as well, or have the means. They don't know how to express themselves. So when they go on the road, probably they are driving, their mind is somewhere else, they almost hit someone, or you try to cross the road and they're driving speed and they are in the wrong, they will insult you who's trying to cross the road, you know, take their anger out on the next person. So it's really a lot on the average Nigerian, you know, it's really a lot on everybody, I should say, at the moment. You look at the security situation, cost of feeding, you know, like you mentioned, rent, and all. Some people will wake up, their landlord has added 100% to their rent and all.
Unannounced.
Yes.
And the houses, they're not just building them. Houses of 1900s. You want to double the prices now. You cannot just buy cement, uncle. Please, our guest is back. Professor Taiwo James Obindu, Department of Psychiatric, University of Jos. Welcome back, Professor. Before that break, you were talking about what the NLC could do better. We understand that they are demanding an increase in minimum wage, would, of course, would affect positively all the earnings of the union workers and everyone at large. But you said NLC needs to do better. What would that mean by doing better?
Well, thank you very much. One of the major things is not just the take-home pay. The cost of living needs to go down. What can we do to make sure that an average take-home can actually take an average Nigerian home? Buy a bag of rice. A family of 4 will likely finish a bag of rice in a month. You have other things that you need to buy. So how are we reducing that cost of living so that an average Nigerian can actually live, have a decent life? The cost of fuel needs to go down. What is the government doing? Some of these other countries that do not even have oil or mineral resources, there is a way they buffer these changes. This needs to be put in place for Nigerians. How are we increasing the number of available employment for an average Nigerian to have some doing? Yes, government talks about so many interventions. These are temporary interventions, giving money and all that. They're not likely to last long. You can give somebody a fish, it will last him a few. Because we've seen rice packages being distributed now. This is always towards the election. But is it too hard for government to make sure that the employment is available, the cost of living is used, the cost of fuel is reduced? I may last long. If you give me a fish, I will eat, but teach me how to fish, and I'll live better.
All right, Prof. So,
hello.
Yes, Nigeria's rating also dropped, you know, in other indices. So the 2025-2026 Number Quality of Life Index, where the country ranked last out of 89 countries and 13th in Numbemo's Crime Index. How much of a bearing does this have on the overall happiness of the nation?
Surely. If in fact this in my earlier comments, the fact that insecurity is a major challenge. You don't even sleep well. You know that sleep is also one major factor in happiness, in joy. if you don't sleep well, you actually have to even resort to vigilante. Rather than going to sleep, you have to be awake. Even when you are sleeping, you sleep with one eye open. Any small noise, you're worried and concerned that something you have. So you are on the road, you are not safe. You know, anytime any family member is on the road, is traveling, until the person announces that he arrived safely, all family members that are aware that they are traveling are on edge and are not as their minds at rest. Their quality of life is not good enough. There are people who are kidnapped, and for information, for so many of them post stress disorder based on the fact that one person was kidnapped. Yeah. So we have a spiraling, a cycle of evil happening with just one crime committed: kidnapping, banditry. Even in the city of Jos in recent times, or Kaduna, we see people, bandits, coming in and then killing people. The security of an average Nigerian should be a major factor that government needs to work on. We need to do better and make sure that we live better. Insecurity, crime rate being high gives us our makes our well-being, our quality of life even to decrease. As I mentioned, anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress that I cannot be happy with it.
I learned that the man is very active. He's been very active in this post.
Roles to both the government and like bodies like NLC. So what do you think that Nigerians on their own can do to increase our own level of happiness? Seems the connection is getting disconnected. Can you hear us, Professor?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So the question I'm asking is, on our part as citizens, what can we do to raise our happiness index?
We must demand accountability from our leaders at the federal level, at even the NC level. We need to let them know that this is exactly what hope deferred. The Bible develop hope in the future, but the things we are seeing around and about us are not giving us that. But we have ourselves to look at God, to look at things that we can do to make our lives better. We shouldn't totally rely on the government. We must take positive, intentional steps in making sure that we improve our quality of life. If we don't have hope for the future, we are not likely to feel happy. We must also try and create jobs by ourselves. So rather than depending on my inputs.
All right, our connection with Professor seems to not be it this morning. So we'd like to thank you, Professor. We hope you hear this part. Thank you for your insight on the program this morning. Speaking on Nigeria and happiness, we've been speaking to Professor Taiwo James Obindu, Department of Psychiatry from the University of Jos.
Yeah. Absolutely, and great insight from him. All right, to our social media, corner, we have some comments here from Martin OTC. He says, Nigerians are not happy because of insecurity. People are being slaughtered, hardship, bad economy. All right, so those are, comments from Martin. We also have other comments, with other conversations that we took earlier on today. Gumi and other Nigerians from an area of the country who condemn the foreigner should worry not. Time will tell in this country. Quite a number of people will pay when the time comes. We're looking at punishments for those who have been perpetrating violence in the country. We also have...
Kifivi says, during Obasanjo and throughout the PDP government, Nigeria was ranked #1 happy country. But this current APC government that has no concern for citizens needs is just bad. Things are just worse. Coming from Kivivi right there. Let's now take reactions. Go back to our newspaper review. I see some reactions there. Ibrahim Ogbaudu says, Dr. Majid has lost his voice because he doesn't want to be seen condemning Alex, the American missionary who made videos that was capable of healing the crisis along religious crisis. Yeah, that's Umaru Audu there speaking to that. Agbaletu Wiseword says, Gumi and other Nigerians from an area of the country who condemned the foreigner should worry not. Time will tell in this country. Quite a number of people will pay when the time comes. Okay. Somebody's asking of my social media handle. I'm Rena Obio. Thank you for the compliment.
All right, so David here says, state governors collect billions monthly as security votes, but cannot directly mobilize the police and other forces to secure their states. They must take instructions from Abuja. And I think that's the conversation from the state policing angle as well.
Right. And then we have Anselm. It says, even with the cameras everywhere, no lights to access the cameras from your device. And Ozoeku Ugochukwu says, over and over again, Mr. President doesn't have any solution to this, and his interest to retain power till 2037. Oh, wow.
Well, Jack here is asking, why do judges use Latin in their judgments here in Nigeria? Well, I think that's the language of law. You cannot take out Latin, from it. So it's left for, as Mr. Majid and Dr. Austin said, for the court judges to actually break down, those, rulings by them so that we can understand them very, very easily.
And yes, another user, Albert, says those responsible for bringing the disgusting violence in Nigeria to an end lack the will to do so. They can't pretend they lack the means.
Additional says, no matter how definitive a court ruling may be, Nigerian politicians have a peculiar talent for manufacturing disputes.
All right, I think we've heard a lot of them. Now, having 31 or 32 governor, APC still afraid of losing election. Martin OTC. The judiciary is a mess. INEC is a mess. Everything is a mess. I can't read the last one. I see Uncle Men is saying that. Somebody says, please, is INEC chairman the chief judge? Is it part of our constitution? I'm sure you definitely know the answer, so. Allow us to choose our leaders so that we can be happy again. That's also Martin OTC. Thank you for staying up until this minute with us. We like it that you didn't leave after newspaper review, so we celebrate you some more.
Yes, and sure that you enjoyed the show for today. And we've come to the end of Kakaaki for today. Kakaaki will definitely return tomorrow on your TV set. My name is Chukwuyenum Onwaka.
And I am Onoshirena Obozige. We'll see you again tomorrow midweek.
And try to be happy.
Yes.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
There is a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go.
Every part of this country is important.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Education is the bedrock of social advancement. The Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, the SOPADIC, has remained committed to the transformation of this key sector. Joy Ochei is my name. Thank you.
So far, so good. I think we have been working. So we are sorting those that is qualified. First come, first serve. So I will take in the list from number 1 to the last.
The excitement resonated across tertiary institutions nationwide as beneficiaries expressed joy and gratitude for the timely intervention.
At first, when I applied for the SOPADIC bursary payment, I was not expecting that huge amount of money. At first, I thought it's just normal student bursary that everybody applied.
I beg your pardon?
I am not in the mood to cook this morning. As a matter of fact, I might not be in the mood to cook until further notice. But you got home from work early enough to have rested now.
I'm not in the mood for conjugal duties tonight, Stephanie.
What the heck does that even mean?
I think I look great, Mom. Look at me. You don't look great. You actually look like a palm wine tapper. If you're a man, will you toast yourself? Look, what kind of trouser is this one? A smart man knows that a woman is way beyond her physical appearance.
Men are attracted by what they see.
I was sure I heard them talking about me because I heard my name.
So did you bother asking them what they were talking about? You?
I did. Victor said yes, and Edward said no. I followed Edward to his office to inquire further, and he said they were not talking about me.
A very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Environment Today on Africa Independent Television. It's your program where we x-ray environmental and public health issues that confront you and I daily. My name is Nkoli Omodu, your regular host on the show.
For most of our history, humans lived in harmony with nature.
But we have shared in the balance, exploiting our planet for product and wealth.
Creating a climate catastrophe, driving species to extinction, and polluting our land, sea, and air. We must go from harming our planet to healing it. We must protect what we have.